What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am, and if you are, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam whatsoever. You will be forced to walk the plank by Blackbeard in your dream tonight, and you will wake up in a pool of your own urine because Blackbeard was a very scary man, and trust me, him telling you to walk the plank would be horrifying. Real talk though, guys, today I have a story time about the time that we fandangoed something from the principal. Well, technically the vice principal, but principal's a cool title. So we fandangoed something from the vice principal, and it was kind of like one of the heist situations, and you guys love those stories, so I figured I would do it, and yeah, without further ado, let's get into the story of We Robbed the Principal.
It's not good. Nice rack in her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million. Swear I'm a little drunk, but it's a hell of a feeling.
Alright, anyways, guys, this story time takes place after I had fandangoed a little bit of hall passes from my English teacher without her knowing, and hall passes were convenient to have a stack of, like, having those was nice, but the only problem with hall passes is they were really only able to get you out of, like, one class per day, you know? They weren't really effective at getting out of school for the entire day, and one day we found out that there was something in the principal's office known as a prearranged absence sheet, and it was basically this little piece of paper where you could put an explanation on why a student was going to be missing school, and the principal could sign it, and basically, if you missed school that day, nobody questioned it. You could turn it in, it wouldn't affect your grade, the teachers couldn't get mad, and it was basically a get out of jail free card. And I was in a club at the time that, you know, I was pretty good at, and for whatever reason, I had to go talk to the vice principal about getting funding to go to a tournament that was out of state for the club. And I'm not going to say what the club was, because like, I don't want the club to potentially get in trouble for me being an idiot, and that's what I was. I was an idiot. And anyways, while I was meeting with the vice principal to just discuss, you know, fundraising and stuff like that, I noticed that on the top of his desk, he had the prearranged absence sheets, and for whatever reason, he had signed all of them. Like, there was a signature section, obviously, and he had rented his name and then signed all of them preemptively. I don't know why he had done that. That was a really stupid idea, but I immediately realized that if I could get my hands on that stack of prearranged absence seats, I basically never had to come to school again, because I would literally have hundreds of prearranged absent notes that were pre-signed by the vice principal, so I literally would just never have to come to school again. So I instantly was like, all right, I gotta get my hands on those, but it was in the vice principal's office, which made things a little bit more complicated than usual. So I go to my friends and I basically explain to them what we're doing and how we're going to have to figure out how we're going to get our hands on these. And they're all in. They're like, yeah, whatever. And that's not necessarily a good thing. Sometimes you need friends that are willing to be like, this is a really bad idea. But all of my friends were like, hell yeah, I don't want to go to school either. So we'll do anything to help you get this stack of papers. And we had taken things from teachers before. Like, taking stuff from a teacher's desk really isn't that hard because, you know, you just got to distract the teacher and then have somebody go get it. It's not that difficult. The problem with getting into like the offices, at least in our school, is A, you really had no excuse as a student to be back there. Like, being a student in a classroom makes sense. You really don't have to have a reason to be there. Whereas if somebody walks in and you're in the vice principal's office and nobody's in there, like, what are you gonna say, dude? You have no reasoning to be in there. Also, beyond that, the secretaries had like a little office in front of the vice principal's office. Like, you had to go through where all the secretaries and like the office clerical workers were to get into the vice principal's office and the principal's offices. So not only did we have no excuse to be in there, but we also had to distract all the secretaries that really, you know, outside of secretary work, their job was to make sure kids weren't going into the principal's office. Whereas teachers are busy. They don't really want to be paying attention to what the students are doing, you know? So it makes it a little bit more complicated to get things out of the principal's office just because there's a lot more people paying attention to what you're doing when you're in a principal's office. And at our school especially, nobody really talked to the secretaries that often, and at first you would think that would make them more suspicious of you, but thankfully, if you were just willing to listen to these people talk about things that literally nobody cares about for an extended period of time, they would just go off. Like, not in a bad way, but, you know, because nobody ever walked in there and talked to them, as a student, if you just walked in and were like, hey, Deborah, how's your day? Deborah was talking for the next 45 minutes about her cat and, how it's not eating the food that it used to like anymore and how she switched it over to raw sushi from a restaurant, da-da-da-da-da, and she's just gonna go off because she doesn't have people to talk to and she's gonna do her thing. So we originally thought it was going to take a bunch of work to distract them, but eventually we just came to the conclusion that somebody has to just walk in and talk to the secretaries and get them distracted. And because I'm pretty good at talking, it's like what I've always been good at, I immediately was nominated for this. So one day, whenever we figured out a little plan, we decided to go through with it, and I walk into the secretary's office, and I just start talking to them, asking them questions about their day, that type of stuff, and obviously they start talking my ear off about everything under the sun, their kids, their husbands, da-da-da-da-da, they're just going off. And while they're just going off to me, I'm nodding my head and going, uh-huh. And my friend, who's going to be the one to go into the vice principal's office, is literally on his stomach, army crawling, so that way they can't see him like over the desk that they're at, because he doesn't want them to know that he's going into the office. So he's army crawling behind me while I'm talking to these old ladies, trying to keep them distracted, and they keep like getting up and like trying to come around, and I keep having to like ask them more questions to re-engage them, and my heart is pounding out of my chest because my friend obviously doesn't have a lot of practice army crawling, so he wasn't very fast at it. So I'm having to distract these ladies for like 3 minutes while he's just caterpillar crawling across the floor towards the hallway where all the vice principal and principal's offices are. Anyways, as the vibes are becoming immaculate, my friend's crawling down the hallway. He finally gets across, and I'm still talking to the secretaries, but, if they come around the desk, it's not really a big deal anymore. And he goes into the vice principal's office, and he's doing his thing, and I'm like, all right, he probably needs a couple minutes, but we had planned it originally that we were going to be doing this while all the principals and teachers and everything were on their lunch breaks, so that way nobody would be in there. But of course, as I'm talking to the secretary, the door opens, and in walks the vice principal whose office my friend is in. So I immediately turn and like say his name super loudly, you know what I'm saying? Which makes me look like a crazy person. They think I'm just screaming, super excited to see the vice principal like a little kid, excited to see Santa, but really I was just trying to give my friend a heads up that the guy was back. So I'm kind of just hoping that my friend has hidden, and the vice principal looks, he goes, Ryan, right? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh yeah, the meeting about the funding. And I'm like, yeah, that's me, obviously, blah, 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 blah. And he says, well, I just got my lunch. I'm going back into my office. Do you want to come talk about funding? And I'm like, oh my God, if I let him go into his office alone, he's going to notice my friend. So I have to be able to distract him. So I'm like, sure. So I'm walking into the guy's office who we're currently trying to take this pad of absence sheets from. And I'm going in, and I walk in, and I don't see my friend, and I'm confused, and he sits down at his desk, and I'm just kind of putting my backpack on the ground, and my friend is under his desk as we're sitting here, dude. And he's kind of talking to me, and he's like asking me questions about the club I'm in, and da-da-da-da-da, and we're just talking back and forth. And after a minute, a bell rings, and I'm like, oh, I've got to get to class. And he's like, yeah, okay, well, let me walk you out. It was really great of you to like follow up. That was very mature of you. I'm like, yeah, really mature, as I'm trying to like take stuff to get out of going to class. You know what I'm saying, dude? Like, he's calling me mature when I'm in the middle of the most immature thing ever. And nothing makes you feel guilty like the person you're taking things from saying how like you're a very mature kid, all right? Because clearly I'm not, dude. I just organized a heist to get out of school. That's definitely not mature. And it made me feel like a horrible person when he was telling me that I was a good kid, because I definitely was not in that moment. Anyways, he like walks me back out. I'm talking to the secretary, and my friend is crawling back down the hallway so nobody will see him. And once we're all like kind of talking by the door, my friend gets up and goes down. There was like another hallway that had another exit, but you couldn't come in that door. Like, it was, you can only exit out of it. So he gets out, and as soon as I realize that he's good, I'm like, all right, well, I'll talk to you guys later. And I make a beeline immediately for where we had planned to like meet up after. So me and my friend get there, and he's like, yeah, I got him, and he hands them to me, and we have the stack of papers. And Me and him split it 50-50 because we were the people that had like actually gone ahead and done it. And he gave a couple of our friends like 10 or 15, you know, which is a solid amount. But obviously, we told everybody not to use them in a row, use them sparingly, da-da-da-da-da. You didn't want to get caught, because it would be obvious if you missed school for 15 days and then handed 15 slips from one vice principal. Like, there's no way it was going to work. You had to use them sparingly. You know what I'm saying? And the guy who had army crawled everywhere ended up giving a ton of them to people who were just idiots and wanted to look cool, and they went around like flexing to everybody, and one kid ended up using 5 in a row. And when he used 5 in a row, obviously the vice principal calls him in and is like, where did you get the slips from? And he snitched on the person who had army crawled, and they called him in, and he folded like a pretzel as soon as they pressed him and snitched on me immediately. We didn't really get in that much trouble, surprisingly. Like, to be honest, they really were not that pissed, but I still did get caught. It wasn't worth it. It was pretty embarrassing, especially because the guy, like, gave me the whole I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed thing, which, you know, that just sucks, bro. Like, I'm sorry, dude. Even if it is the vice principal, that's just not good to hear, because you're like, yeah, I understand. Like, yeah, I'm not proud of it. This isn't, you know, supposed to be advice for people. I'm just telling the story. Don't be me, I guess, is the moral of the story, which seems like a weird moral on your own YouTube channel, but YOLO. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to press the like button. Let me know in the comments section down below what you thought. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on those notifications, because I post videos every day and you don't want to miss them. Other than that, be sure to check out the OG Sub Club merch before it's gone forever. The main channel is getting closer to 2 million, and once we hit it, it's gone. It's just gone. And yeah, other than that, only other things I got to plug. My Twitter is @Scrubby_69. You should go ahead and follow me on that, because I'm hilarious. The Instagram is @Scrubby. Check that out. And yeah, other than that, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. And the intro song link is down below. Hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow with another video. And yeah, remember, one very important rule of life: if you fart, sometimes you're gonna poop.